ADHD, the more I understand it, the more I experience it, I'm like, the piece, the elephant in the room was the ADHD.
Wow.
And so, yeah, it's about that humility as well, of looking back and going, yeah, there's some stuff I could have done differently if I had had this information 10 years ago. And I think all of us as an ADHD community, the more we can share that information with each other and with other people outside of the community, the better off we're going to be at getting the care we need.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this.
Yeah.
So you're saying that, like, kind of the elephant in the room, it's not even talking about the sex. It's the ADHD part that makes it more challenging. That's a really big insight. Okay, and then one other question I had was, I don't remember, honestly. Do you have diagnosed ADHD or no?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, absolutely. I do. And I have little people that have ADHD and autism. And I've got the neurodivergent family.
Yes.
And so obviously I'm female, I'm professional, I'm late diagnosed. That just kind of goes with the territory.
Yes.
Because when I was younger, this was not something that was talked about or considered. Girls didn't have ADHD.
Exactly.
So it was the thing.
Dr. Lynn, I just have to say, like, I'm getting chills right now just even talking about this, because it's incredible the amount of women that I have encountered that are in this same boat. Like, they were totally overlooked or dismissed, about their struggles growing up. And it's not, my heart breaks for all of you that you did that, like the whole, thankfully it's changing now, but that for so long, people just wouldn't acknowledge that this could even be a possibility.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and there's just so many things we didn't know about it.
That's true.
It comes back to this thing around, I always think the groups, the more we talk to each other, the people that work with kids talking to the people that work with adults and vice versa. And, it's changed. But we're here now, and I think it's just awesome. And so
I agree.
I wrote the workbook because I was like, we just need to get this information out there, and we just have to help people talk about things. So,
yes.
When I talk about sex and this idea of the party, and sex is play.
Yes.
And it starts there, right? If you're not having fun playing, then you're not going to have fun with sex. And if you're trying to play and you get distracted, well, you're not going to have such a good time, or maybe it's going to be harder to achieve that orgasm or that thing you're looking for because you're not really quite there. So these are all the ways in which, when we start thinking about sex as something like fun and playful, all of a sudden it gets so simple. It's not that complicated, right? As the young people say, it's not that deep.
Yeah, right. I'm resisting the urge to make any jokes, because I'm sure there's a whole bunch that come up during these times. But I'm really glad.
Throw your jokes out there.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I probably will, but I'm glad you're bringing this up, because it reminds me a lot of what I do with my coaching, where providing the safe space for people to be willing to be vulnerable enough to talk about those things that in everyday life they probably have a lot of shame around, and don't have the spaces to be able to talk about that openly. So this is really powerful. And I just want to welcome everyone who's just joining us. I got everything going now. So for those of you who might be over on TikTok, on my Instagram channel, we are going live with Dr. Lynn Pichet. She is the author of the ADHD Sex Workbook. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Good job.
And if you can't see her right now, you can only hear her. She's wearing a birthday hat because we are getting ready this week.
Okay, hold on.
Yep.
I don't know if I can do this. No, it's not going to work. Forget it. Keep going.
That's hilarious. She was trying to blow on one of those party. What would you even call that? Party popper, whatever. Anyway, so she's celebrating the 1 year anniversary, the one-year-old birthday of her workbook. And so she called me up because she said, hey, I know that you throw a good party, so bring your friends. So right now we have about 100 people over on TikTok that are listening. We're going live on YouTube. So we're just so happy to have Dr. Lynn here. And in case this is your first time joining, I'm Ryan Mayer, certified ADHD coach, your wingman and accountability partner for all things ADHD related. And we are so happy to have everyone here. Hey, Sarah, welcome. Thank you. Glad you're here. Happy Laundry Tuesday to you as well. We're talking about sex, my friends. We're talking about sex and laundry. Wait, what? Yeah, laundry. We're doing it. Okay. So
we can put it together.
Yeah.
So we were talking about how sex is play and it should be fun, just like folding laundry should be fun. And
That's
this
right.
Is what we have with friends, right? Because it should be a good time.
That's right.
And if it's not fun, it becomes really hard to both have a good time. You're probably going to be more distracted because you're not having fun.
Yeah.
And what does that look like when you can create experiences that are enjoyable? Right? And I feel like, Ryan, you're great at creating those enjoyable experiences, even when it comes to laundry. It's like, let's make this fun.
Exactly. Like, life's too short to do boring things. So if you have to do stuff that's usually boring, at least try to make it fun. But it makes sense. And I love the powerful simplicity of the idea of make sex more like play. It's fun. And how are you going to win a game? How are you going to win at a game if you're too distracted to play, or if it hurts too much to play, or if you're bored of the game or whatever? So I'm so curious. What are some of the neurodivergent factors, Dr. Lynn, that are at play here, so to speak?
I love the play on words.
Play.
So when we're thinking about the chronic pain, and I think it's really important that, Ryan, you brought this up. If you're ever having pain during sex, you got to stop.
Yes.
There's no gritting your teeth through that. There's no just doing it. No. Pain is that alarm that tells you there's something going on,
right?
And we completely stop. And we do know that women with ADHD or women assigned at birth with ADHD are going to report more sexual pain.
That's so interesting.
So that's one of those things where, okay, we're not sure exactly what is there, but if that's happening for you and if you're really noticing this, then it's important to deal with it, right? Those pelvic floor physios are wonderful. There are books out there that can help you with sexual pain. There's going to see your doctor, super important, and figuring out what's going on with that pain. But it's one of the things that's kind of part of being an ADHDer.
And I'm curious, Dr. Lynn, I know you said that there is not necessarily a ton of like hard evidence yet on it, but I'm just making this is a hypothesis, but I'm curious your thoughts. Do you think it has to do with the fact that we as ADHDers tend to be more sensitive in general, like everything is heightened, so that maybe during sex it's going to be a little more like the feelings, the physical feelings will be more intense?
It's really interesting, right? Because there's this, like, again, ADHD is all about variation.
Right.
And we'll have some things where we're going to be more heightened on and some things where we're going to be less heightened on.
Yes. And
so depending on your particular flavor of ADHD and what your nervous system is connecting to,
yes,
you may find that, for you, it's this kind of heightened thing. For somebody else, it might be that hyper focus, right? Of I've noticed something and now I'm like really dialed into it.
Right.
I think there's a lot of reasons why it could be. Even things as simple as, have you noticed, do you need some lube? Have things changed for you as you're getting older? I can talk as an older female. Some stuff starts shifting around and you got to, well, not physically shifting, but changing.
Changes.
And you got to be thinking about lube and some of the things that maybe you didn't have to before. And if you happen to have a sensory issue and you're like, oh, Dr. Lynn, lube is disgusting, that's going to make that even more difficult.
Yeah.
Right? So I always joke, the ADHD tax also is an ADHD tax for trying 10 different lubes to find one you can stick.
Yeah, it is definitely true. I know that we can be particular about so many things. Just kind of like a funny example that this immediately makes me think of, I was mentioned, and this is not sex related, but just how we can be particular. Like in my class that I'm going to, I'm doing this Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. So let's talk about Sachs, baby. No, but Goldman Sachs, I'm doing this thing, and when I'm in class, hold on, let me show this. So a water bottle like this is okay because you can't see through it. But for some reason, for me, if there is a clear water container where water, like anytime someone's typing or if they're handwriting and then like it's jiggling enough that it is sloshing, like that distracts me. And then it starts like, I get like anxious about it. So I've just learned, I just advocate for myself. And those of you who have followed my content, or if you work with me, you know that I preach about radical acceptance and just like, hey, it might be different or it might seem weird to other people, but that's okay because it's actually not as bad as you think once you start talking about it. So like the people that are at my table, we kind of joke about it now and we already know because they'll say, oh, sorry, like, let me move my water because they know it bothers me. Yeah. So anyway, it's just, that's something that I am sensitive to. So we just have to accept that we might have some specific things that are a little bit different. And by the way, speaking of water, if you haven't hydrated your brains lately, highly recommend it. So this is your hashtag Ryan reminder to hydrate. So go ahead.
Hydrate. Okay. We got the tea.
That'll work.
I wanted to talk a bit about this idea of impulsivity being a neutral word. And as you're talking about radical acceptance, I'm thinking about this concept of impulsivity that we typically see as negative, right? And you were saying earlier the guilt and the shame that can come with sex and some of the choices that we make. And what do you think, Coach Ryan? Like, could impulsivity be a neutral word where it doesn't mean bad, it just means doing something without thinking? And could we reclaim that word as not being so negative?
Well, not that I'm a gambling person, but I think in poker you say like, I call your bet and then I will raise you one. So in other words, I will take it as far as saying making it a positive. And here's what I mean. Dr. Ned Hollowell, I remember hearing him say this and it really resonated with me. He said, there's positive traits and there's negative traits, but sometimes they are the same thing. They're just the other side of the coin. So I remember the one that he said for impulsivity on the other side is spontaneity and creativity. So rather than just make it neutral, I would invite people to not feel so bad about themselves and just categorize it as, hey, I'm a creative, spontaneous kind of person. And that's what derives a lot of joy for me. And like, obviously your partners, whether it's life partner, sexual partner, like hopefully they know you well enough that is on the radar. So yeah, I would say,
love it.
Rather than neutral, I would say it is neutral because there are some negatives, some positives, and maybe there's both.
And if we can focus on that positive, what does it look like when you think about the positive sexual stim, right? Because we're often thinking about the negative stim where you're getting in trouble because maybe you're doing things online or maybe you're looking at porn too much or whatever it is that you got going on.
Yeah.
What does positive sexual stim look like? And can we start celebrating that as being a really good thing?
Yeah, because I think, especially for those of us, and again, it's everyone's is on their own journey, but I know that, people often trivialize or like kind of make light of this, but I think in this situation it applies. They talk about like, what's shiny. So this is shiny or exciting, but just basically, that age old adage of variety is the spice of life. So
Yes.
if you want to keep your spiciness spicy, you got to add variety.
Yeah. And variety is the spice of sex.
Yeah, there
and
we
if you
go.
want to have that spicy sex, we're looking for variety. We're
Yep.
looking for novelty, which then makes things a little less routine, a little less, oh, dare I say, boring.
Yeah, right.
And being able to talk about that will also help with that distractibility. What are you doing to make it interesting?
Yeah, because I would imagine that for those who are neurodivergent, like, and again, I don't want to speak for, like the autism community, for example, perhaps they might enjoy routine. I don't know.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
so respect to anyone, whatever your preferences are, but just switching it up so that the person who might have ADHD, like they might think, well, okay, here we go, like press autopilot, because we're gonna just start the same routine we usually do. It makes me think of, have you ever seen the movie Click with Adam Sandler?
No.
So this it's older, but it's one of my favorites because it's got a lot of really good life lessons in it. It's kind of like a more modern day It's a Wonderful Life.
Ah, okay.
And I won't give away the movie, but basically he finds this remote where he can pause life, he can rewind life, he can fast forward. And so there's a scene where like he and his wife are starting to get romantic and she goes, "Okay, can I have a massage?" And he like rolls his eyes and he's like, "Oh man, the massage, I always have to do the massage." He's like, "Wait a minute. What if I can fast forward?" But so then he ends up fast forwarding through the massage, but then something happens where he fast forwards through everything and it's over and he goes, "No, no, no, no." So, yeah. But anyway, just the point that like he's so bored with it that he wants to fast forward through it. So that having the variety is important.
It is really important. And I think, that compromise between partners is a great point. And it can be really tough if you have a partner that likes and needs things to be more routine and you like that novelty. And that's where the compromise and the talking about it. But generally, when we're not seeing this with our ADHD glasses, people tend to take these conversations extremely personally. There you go. There are the ADHD glasses right there.
I mean, I literally I was putting them on when you said the word, so I didn't even plan that. These are, in case no one's ever seen these are I call them my accidental blue blockers because someone bought these once for me as a joke, and I was like, wait a minute, I actually kind of like them. They're like so ridiculous that they're like kind of cool at the same time, but they're blue blockers, so I just wear them at night when I'm ready to start like ramping down for the evening. Yeah.
What a great idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So those ADHD glasses, those blue boxes, all those things is like, okay, how is this impacting our sex life? And can we talk about it? And now we're taking this piece of it must be personal. It must be something about me. We're just taking that out of the conversation.
Yes.
ADHD.
And so I'm glad that you're talking about this because there's another phrase you mentioned earlier about like as the kids would say. I heard a recent business like not cliche, but buzzword that was like, this is something I want to double click on. So it's like, to open it up a little bit more. So what I'm assuming that you might have some info on this in your workbook, but just for the folks that are here that maybe are not familiar with your work, any suggestions for what to say or how to bring this up? Like if a partner, partner A is feeling bored, but is nervous about bringing it up to partner B because they don't want partner B to feel like, oh, you're not happy with what I'm doing. But, any suggestions there?
Well, it's wonderful that you're asking this, but let's be clear.
Yeah.
Don't tell your partner that you're bored. We don't use the B word.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
It's going to hurt people's feelings. Even though you kind of know that that's what's going on, you want to try to find a different word. And generally what I suggest is this thing about, hey, Dr. Lynn's talking about ADHD and sex. I've got ADHD. Can we, let's just listen to her yabber on. And so finding places like this podcast, like these other things where you can kind of get some of the material. And then you can start exploring this idea of, how does ADHD impact sex? And having the conversation using the word novelty, I think, usually kind of goes over a little better.
Yeah.
Looking at this idea of variety. So I'm often, talking about this. I do this like wave with my hand for those of you who can't see me. It's like a little snake wave. Yeah, right? That variety makes a huge difference for people. And I think when you're using words like novelty and variety and ADHD, it just makes sense because you're like that in the rest of your life too.
Exactly.
And so it's not specific to your sex life.
Mm-hmm. And so, that makes sense. So it would be, because I know that the people who know me in my life know that I crave new things and new experiences. And that's like literally in every aspect of life. So, so totally. Okay.
That's the thing, right? So all we're doing is we're taking that concept and we're saying, hey, you know what? You have a sex life, and this thing that we're talking about, that craving for the newness, also applies to sex.
Yeah.
And so now how are we going to figure that out, right? What kind of compromise can we come up with? What can we do? And one of the things I love about people in the ADHD community is once you have the word, once you know what's going on, you're great problem solvers, right? No problem. I know that everybody can figure out, well, how am I going to do this, or what would I like to do with this? And if you need some tips, that's why the ADHDsex.com website is there to kind of help you with that conversation.
Love that.
Yeah.
And speaking of variety, I am just so grateful that Dr. Lynn P. Shea is here tonight to add some variety to Folding with Friends. So if you're just joining us, let us know. Do you have ADHD? If so, throw that into the chat. Let us know if you have questions related to the intersectionality of ADHD and sex. If you've never met me, I'm Ryan Mayer, certified ADHD coach. And, if you're appreciating this, just get a little thumb exercise and, give this a couple likes. And if you're feeling really spicy tonight, you can also share it out for more people to really grow this awareness of the inclusion revolution that we're trying to do. And I want to let everybody know, we have a digital community, the Ryan Mayer Coaching Digital Community. It's totally free to join. So you can join through my profile, or if you want to explore more about what we are doing in our community or what coaching might look like, please check us out, and you can schedule a call. And big announcement for the birthday of not only Dr. Lynn's workbook, but also Dr. Lynn just had a birthday. And I wanted to share my present that I'm giving to her is the gift of her book and access to it, that it is now listed in the Ryan Recommends section of our website. So you can go to ryanmayercoaching.com to get the book, the workbook that we're talking about tonight.
Thank you so much, Coach Ryan. That's awesome.
Of course.
I do that. I think celebration is important, and celebrating sex is another piece of this, right? So if we're trying to make things novel and interesting, how do you celebrate sexually? How do you celebrate the sex life that you have? We're often talking about this idea of gratitude, but sometimes maybe that sounds a little bit like, oh, okay, fine, I can do the gratitude thing. But can we celebrate sex? What is it that you love about your sex life? What is one of the ADHD sex hacks that you found that's like amazing? And are you willing to share that or put that up on the comments, or even just think and reflect on that and go, hey, that was a win. I figured that.
Love that. Also, back to the topic of variety, one of the things that we like to do on Folding with Friends, and you just reminded me of it, Dr. Lynn, when you were talking about gratitude, is we like to celebrate. All right, I got the grease stain off of these pants. I'm really excited. So that's what I'll celebrate. We were out at a brewery. We were visiting my brother and his wife and our nephew down in Cincinnati, Ohio, and they have friends who own a brewery. So we were there and enjoying some delicious food. It's called Hearth Brewery. So if you live in the Harrison, Ohio, Cincinnati area, it's awesome. Highly recommend. But our son was eating on my lap and like just all kinds of stuff was just like fall. And I'm like, hey, it comes with the territory. But we got it out. So gratitude. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for everybody who's stopping by. But I want to know, Dr. Lynn, what are some things that you are grateful for? And everyone else who's here, like ADHD MD, I see you're over there on TikTok. Love the name. Let's connect. But put in the chat, what are some things you are grateful for this week? Let's get that attitude of gratitude flowing.
I am so grateful. When I wrote this workbook, it was really a shot in the dark. And I kind of thought, well, this interests me, but it might not interest anybody else. And I've been so grateful to everybody who has taken the time to say, hey, it was really helpful, or I learned this thing, and that has changed things for me. So I'm super grateful for that. And we're actually doing a discount this week because of the party. We're giving, I think it's 20% off the online course. And I'm also grateful for that. I'm grateful for people who said, Dr. Lynn, you started writing and you kept writing and writing and writing, and the workbook's pretty thick. I know there's a lot of lines in there, but it's pretty thick. Can we get a different way, right, to interact with that content? There it is, right? And so I said, okay, well, let's just do a class. How about we just have people join and talk about it as a group? And it's been fabulous getting people to talk about ADHD sex together. And again, it's like building that community. So you're not alone. And people are kind of going, hey, I have this thing. And somebody else goes, I have this thing too. So powerful. Community is so powerful.
Oh my gosh.
Grateful.
Yes.
Wildly grateful.
Totally. Well, I'm going to celebrate that with you. And say, here, because I'm going to second that, because I offer group coaching as well as something slightly different called community coaching, where it's open to even more people and all of my clients. And we had our community coaching call today, and I'm experiencing the same thing as you, Coach Lynn. It's just magical when a group of people gets together and you could just feel the energy, and that is just very validating for everyone who's there to know, like, hey, everyone else here gets it and appreciates each other. And speaking of appreciating, the woman I appreciate more than anyone else in the world has joined us.
Hi, Dr. Lynn.
Hi, how are you?
I'm tired.
Yeah.
And cold. I'm going to get my house coat.
There you go.
I have the advantage of being West Coast, so for me it's still early, but it's late for you guys.
Well, this is our Tuesday night tradition, and it's running a little later because I had class tonight, but we're so glad to be here.
Good.
And we're nice and cozy, and we're talking about ADHD and the intersectionality of ADHD and sex.
So what are some of the distractions that maybe you guys have noticed or heard about when it comes to sex? I know I often hear people talking about those sounds or the neighbor's dog, or maybe like you've got something that isn't so warm and fuzzy and it's like that texture is a little uncomfortable. Sure. There's a lot of distractions when you start thinking about what takes you out of that sexual mindset and that sexual pleasure.
Well, yeah, and I would have to imagine, I mean, just like I was talking about before, the distraction of like water in a cup, like there could be visual things, there could be auditory things like a squeaking bed frame or something like that. That's like so annoying that you wouldn't be able to concentrate. Or if it's
sorry, go ahead, go try.
No, it's okay. And I was just again, like I'm referencing being in class because I was there tonight, so it's kind of recent. But we were in a couple different rooms, and the one room was really hot, and I'm just sitting there like, it's in the evening time, everyone's kind of worn out after a work day, and it's like, I don't like how hot it is. So that's a thing. Then the next room was very cold. So people probably, like Andrea is feeling cold right now. I'm feeling great. We always battle over the thermostat. So that could be a thing in the bedroom,
Absolutely.
you know?
Yeah, it's huge. Well, and do you ever notice how like mattress stores or mattress furnitures, there's never any talking about the squeaking. They'll say, here's a bed frame. And you're like, hey, can I try it? How squeaky is it? People kind of look at you funny, right?
Yeah.
And we're back to this radical acceptance of like, if I'm going to buy a bed frame or I'm going to buy a mattress, it's really important to check to make sure it doesn't squeak, because if the distraction is there, we don't want anything that'll squeak or be weird. Right? And so maybe you like drop the whole thing and you put your box spring on the floor and problem solved.
Right. There you go.
There's a lot of ways to kind of deal with that, the extra noise. But you know, the fun thing about sex, and we were talking about this idea of like celebrating and pleasure, is if you've got problems with noise, well, maybe you put in some earbuds, and maybe that's kind of part of for the course, and it's a little funky and a little fun and a little kinky, right? Maybe use some eye covers.
All right.
That you can make it a bit more intense, right? And this piece that a lot of times people who are neurodivergent will be like, well, kink can be a lot of fun because it heightens things, but also deals with some of the issues that maybe I have around the sensory, or maybe some of the issues I have around distractibility, because I've made it just that little bit more racy, that little bit more interesting. So there's a lot of ways with sex that you can kind of make it fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all of your different t-shirts over there on the bed. And I'm like, no, there's a red one and a blue one and a purple one. We do this for all the other parts of our lives. Bringing it to our sexuality feels like a bit of an obvious one, right? If you can have 10 different shirts in different colors, maybe you can create a sex life that also has some variety and is fun for you.
I love that. Mm-hmm. And I am grateful that you mentioned shirts, because Dr. Lynn, something that is a little different since we last connected. Check it out. I've got some ADHD merch.
Let's see. Ooh. Oh, I love it.
Right?
That's so cool.
And then here's another one we came up with.
Oh, I like it. That's supercharged.
Yeah. So it's like we're supercharged. I think about like how electric our brainstorming sessions can be, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone's interested in the ADHD merch, it's available. You can go through the profile or look on my website, ryanmayercoaching.com. And at ryanmayercoaching.com, Andrea, do you want to share the good news?
No.
She's like, no. Okay.
No, I heard that.
She's tired. It's fine. That we have Dr. Lynn's workbook, ADHD and Sex, is in the Ryan Recommends section. So make sure to check that out too.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always fun to kind of find ways to make things interesting. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. And even just talking about it, right? How often do we not talk about sex? Maybe it's uncomfortable. Maybe you're like, oh, I'm going to use the B word and get myself in trouble, so I'm just not going to say anything. But often if you're not talking about that distractibility and that need for novelty, clearly it comes across, people notice, right? They notice that you're not in it. So you're way better off talking about it and having the conversation. At least for the most part. And if you're thinking that you're not safe doing it, then maybe that's a different problem.
Right.
Maybe that's when you have to see a mental health provider and go, you know, Dr. Lynn's talking about this conversation and I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think it's safe. Then absolutely go ask for help and talk to somebody and figure out what's going on.
And you know, as you're talking about this, Andrea, it reminds me of how Andrea and we have the honor and privilege of talking to engaged couples from our church. And when we do that, we talk about how I mean, so much of, I mean, really any relationship, romantic or not, but especially in marriage, it boils down to communication and openness and being willing to be vulnerable. It's like, hey, you're already going to be naked with the person anyway. So you may as well be willing to talk through like how you're feeling and what you're thinking for some of this stuff.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that I like to remind folks is that this idea of relationship foundation, and Coach Meyer, you're talking about this, right? Like that foundation and relationship, you need to have a solid foundation to be getting into some of these topics as well.
Right.
And that sometimes I think is what happens is people go, okay, I want to talk about ADHD and sex and I want to get there, but we don't have the foundation. We've got some other things to sort out first. And that's okay, right? Everybody's on this journey and you do the work that you need to do. And eventually you get up the mountain. Eventually you get up the hill. But if you don't do the work and you don't kind of figure out what's going on, it becomes really hard to move to where you'd like to be.
Right. And to go off of that point, because I totally agree. And I'll never forget a really powerful conversation I had with one of my clients. And it's something that we tell the engaged couples too, is just a reminder that sounds obvious, but it's still worth repeating, which is your spouse, your partner is not a mind reader. So like, even though it doesn't matter if you've been together for 2 months, 2 years, or 2 decades, that you can't expect, they might know you better than anyone else, but that doesn't mean they know every thought you're having. So if you're feeling a certain way, it's important to communicate that.
Yeah, absolutely. When we're talking about this idea of sex and distraction, and let's maybe talk a little bit about some of these sensory issues that can come up.
Yeah.
And what I think about when I watch you guys fold laundry is I'm like, I wonder what that smells like. Because if it has that really strong laundry smell, I don't like that so much. But if it has like a really neutral smell, that's okay. And then I start thinking about all the ways that sensory issues can get in the way. So when we're thinking specifically about sex, you were talking about temperature, right? This fight about warm and cold.
Right.
And finding some compromise about how do you make it so that your body is comfortable.
Right.
If you're having that sensory ick where you're like, ooh, there's a pillow that smells funny, or there's a blanket that's not smelling the way I want it to, you need to be comfortable to say, okay, we got to change that up. Maybe we change the laundry detergent. Maybe we get a new blanket that's just the sex blanket that is nice and soft and cuddly. And you lay that down before and you're good to go. There's some easy ways to address the sensory issues, but sensory issues are like pain. You don't want to just grit your teeth through it. You really need to find ways to like block it so that you can feel comfortable.
Yes, and so you could just be fully present in the moment and not having to think about things other than what you're trying to do, like, enjoy each other and enjoy the experience.
Yeah, it's about play and pleasure.
Yeah.
And so you can't do that. I often use that example of the wet spot. If the wet spot's driving you crazy and it's getting in the way of that play and that pleasure, then maybe what you do is you get one of those special blankets that absorbs liquids and it's gone, right? Just create a barrier that's going to work. And talk and ask your partner, what sensory issues do they have?
Yeah.
Ask yourself, what sensory issues do I have? And again, because we haven't had a lot of language about this, it may not be something you've ever thought about. That's okay. Because we're talking about it now.
And speaking of talking, I'm wondering, when you're working with your clients, and I forget, do you call them clients or patients, or how does that work?
Oh yeah, no, always clients.
Yeah, no, that's great. So I'm just curious, like, how does that work? If somebody wanted to explore that, or even if you can't work with them directly, just if they're wondering, what does it look like to have a professional who can help you with these things?
Well, I think a lot of what we offer is kind of that space to talk and the questions.
Yeah.
I find there's a lot of questions that I tend to ask and other mental health providers tend to ask that people don't necessarily ask of themselves. And if anything, is it Socrates that had all the questions all the time?
Yeah.
This ability to kind of explore things in more detail. I know I was on this podcast with Kate Osborne a while ago specific to the sensory issues. And so there is information out there, and I'm certainly not the only one talking about ADHD and sex. And so the more that you can kind of ask yourself those questions, how does my ADHD impact my sex life? Am I distracted? Do I need novelty? Am I having a hard time living without thinking about sex? Or maybe I'm using sex to deal with my ADHD symptoms.
Oh,
maybe
okay.
I'm using focus, right? And if you're doing that, one of the things that happens is you start having a lot more sex because it's this thing that you're using to get focused. It's this thing that you're using to get the report done. Social media world will call this post-nut clarity.
Uh-huh.
And that can cause real relationship issues because often partners don't like that.
Yeah.
If you're engaging sexually because you want to get your focus back, it can feel a little yucky.
I could see how that could be an issue.
Why does it get focus after sex?
That's a great question. We don't know exactly why it happens. There's a lot of theories right now, and we just don't know the exact mechanism. But many people who have ADHD will really report this idea of once I get off, all of a sudden I've got some focus, right? So whether that's that increased dopamine, whatever is going on, some people have just learned to use sex to get through the day. And that can be really problematic.
Oh, wow.
Does that answer your question, Andrea?
Yeah. And so once they get that clarity, how long does it last from one ejaculation?
Oh, I love that. You know what? I don't know. I think that's the next question. Anybody out there have an idea and are willing to throw some thoughts out there?
Yeah, put it down in the comments if you're familiar with this idea of clarity. I had not heard this before, but Dr. Lynn, with this being all about science, I think really the only solution here is to experiment. And Andrea and I are going to do some research, and we'll let you know how long that does last. And when you hear news reports of my business taking off in exceptional ways, I'll have you to thank.
Absolutely. The best way to deal with a lot of these things is to deal with your ADHD.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
so if you're optimizing your medication and you're feeling like you do have focus to get through the day, then a lot of these, call them bad habits, they tend to go away.
Yeah.
Because you don't need it the way you did.
Right.
It's kind of like when you were downing, carafes of coffee because you needed the stimulation and you were trying to get through. And then all of a sudden, your ADHD med gets online, you start feeling better, you learn those skills, and you don't need as much coffee maybe to get through your day. Yeah.
So in other words, it was for those folks that were really essentially depending on, that stimulation or the clarity that would come as a result. It was kind of like a coping mechanism. It sounds like.
That's the idea, right? And so
really
if you address your ADHD, then the expectation is that should get addressed. Yeah. And we're still in such early stages. Like the research is just emerging. We don't have a lot of research specific to this, but we certainly have a lot of clinical experience where people are like, yeah, this is kind of where I get stuck. And this is why I end up doing these sexually impulsive things. And now I've blown up my relationship. And now I have to go to couples counseling and everyone's mad at me. There's ways to address this. And that's, I think, the other reason that it's so important to be talking about, right? How are you managing your ADHD?
Right.
And are you managing it well enough? Or maybe not?
and you said something earlier that was really important that in case anyone missed it, I wanted to bring back up, which is working with a professional like Dr. Pichet or myself. While therapy and coaching are not the same, there are many overlaps. And one of the things that you said that I was like, yep, that's what I do all the time too, is asking good questions. Like asking questions to get your clients to be thinking about things, or we're asking questions that either they haven't thought of perhaps, or that they're, in some cases, to your point earlier, maybe they're too afraid to ask, or too embarrassed to ask that question. So I'm just encouraging everyone, whether it's a therapist, a coach, or in many cases both, I just strongly recommend. And if somebody wanted to talk with you, Dr. Lynn, do they have to be in Canada to do that? How does that work?
So if it's specific to psychological services, it's not even just Canada. You actually have to be in the same province that I'm in. But in regards to the educational courses that I run, those don't have the same boundaries. So if you want to learn more about ADHD and sex, the ADHD and sex course is out there. It's 20% off this week because we're like, yay, birthday party.
Birthday party. Let's go.
And, they're live educational classes, and the whole idea is to learn more about this. And I think, to my point earlier, is once generally many people can figure this out. Part of it is because we haven't had the conversations, we don't talk about it, then people are like, oh, I hadn't realized, right? If I'm having a hard time with orgasm, maybe it's because of my ADHD. If you've not put those things together, that's okay. The research is really new that's coming out and saying, hey, here's a link. And the more that we talk about it, the more that we can figure it out. That's really the idea. So those would be the ways if you're hoping to talk with me about it. And of course, the workbook is there, so you can look at this stuff on your own and see what resonates and what fits and how you want to develop that pleasure specific to your sex life, right? And that play.
And there's not a phrase, but kind of a approach that I often talk about, which is if you're feeling this resistance, if you're feeling like something is not working for you, it was similar to what Dr. Lynn said before. Like if you're feeling pain, that is a sign that this is not good and you should try to address it. Very similar to if you're, trying to work through some challenge, whether it's at home or at work, and it's not working for you, that's a good sign where it's okay to reach out, ask for help, and just learn something new that could help you to approach it from a different way.
Absolutely. Learning something new is so important. It's so fundamental.
Yes.
And it can feel a little scary if you're like, I didn't even know I should be asking the question, much like what the information is. And this is how we all learn. There's this idea, I think sometimes that you're just supposed to know everything you're supposed to know by age 25. Like, that's not true.
Right.
We're all learning and we're always on this journey of improvement. And that I think is really a fun part of life. So between that and play and pleasure, it's great. And how you apply those things to your sex life.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful, Dr. Lynn.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, are you going to be attending the conference this year?
I will. I'll be at the conference. I'll be talking about interventions. So not interventions really, essentially what to do. So if you're struggling with some of the ADHD and sex stuff that we've talked about today, my talk is going to be about what to do about it.
Okay.
So some of these, ideas of okay, now we're getting to know this stuff. What do you do? How do you make it more fun? And that answer, I think, is going to change for various people. It's not always going to be the same answer. What's fun and spicy for one person might not be fun and spicy for another.
Sure.
And, we're working at finding that space. But, it's like everything else. It's your laundry. It's your sex life. And you can dictate how you're going to do it, right? Are you going to have fun and do it with Ryan? Are you going to do it on your own? Are you going to include a partner? There's just so many ways that you can do this. And I think that's, really what I'm hoping my take-home message will be. And I'm really looking forward to the conference. I think it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, just to have so many people with ADHD in one place is, there's going to be fun.
Dr. Lynn, do you remember what day your talk is on during the conference?
Yeah, it's on Saturday. So it should be nice if people are coming for a day or they can only make the weekend. Yeah, I'll be there on Saturday.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Something that you said earlier that just popped back up because you said, whether it's your laundry or your sex life. You talked about sensory, and I wanted to let you know that here at the Mayor House, we use not what would you call the stuff we use? Like the stuff that doesn't
free
smell
and clear.
Yeah.
Okay. So no scent, thank you.
So,
there we go.
So you would be able to. You'd fit right in here. You'd be able to handle our laundry pile.
I do kind of miss the laundry smell, and I know Ryan likes it too, but we're pretty hardcore about toxins in our family and cancer prevention. So, we're going the lengths.
You're going like, and for people who have more sensory issues, I'm sure they appreciate it. Like I'm going, hey, yeah, I could fold laundry with you. That would be okay.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because this reminds me. This is something I'm grateful for. Is last night, our son, our 8-year-old, who's a fellow ADHDer, he and I went on a father-son bike ride together, and we had this really cute, it's called the trailer bike, where it hooks onto my bike. So it's like, my bike plus one wheel, and he's still pedaling and everything. And so that, first of all, was really good stimulation and heavy work. So anybody who's out there who has an ADHD kiddo, bike riding is a really good thing. But anyway, we rode past a house that they were clearly doing laundry.
Yeah.
Because it's, in like the dryer vent, you can smell it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because scent is the strongest sense tied to memory. And I was just thinking about like growing up, like you could walk by like a certain house and it had like that, like, oh, they use this brand or whatever. But our son, he's very sensitive, like to smells. So we always say like, he could grow up and be like a candy tester or like a sommelier or something where his sense of smell could be a benefit because he immediately
Bath and Body Works scent creator.
Oh yeah.
But like immediately he was like, hey, what is that? Is someone doing laundry? I'm like, whoa, that was fast. So yeah, smells are a factor is our point.
Absolutely. And there are ways to talk to a partner about smells if it's difficult for you.
Yeah.
Actually information online of how to have that hard conversation if you need your partner to maybe change their soap, or maybe you need to have a bit more hygiene going on. There's ways to manage this and to have the conversation by still being direct, but not necessarily hurting your partner's feelings or saying it in a way that's would be like really difficult for them to hear. Everybody has their own preferences in regards to scents and odors. And sometimes you do need, okay, I prefer having 2 showers a day. And other people are kind of less noticeable in regards to scent. And they're like, yeah, I'm okay with every day or maybe every second day. So having those conversations can also be part of the sensory issues. And, same parallels with the laundry.
And these are the kind of things that, like, when we talk to engaged couples, which I referenced earlier, these are the little things that until you are in a long-term relationship, you may not even really think that you're going to be thinking about. But 2 things that come to my mind that have just been in the last couple days, but also the last couple years for us. One is last night, or a couple nights ago, we were preparing because we have our daughter's Disney princess 6th birthday coming up, and we were getting the basement prepared. And I said to Andrea, "Hey, the soap we have down here, I really like it." It's like, so it's the opposite. Like, I'm like, wow, like I want to buy all soap that smells just like this because just smells really good. But I communicated that because I knew I would forget, and then we'll never have it again. So I communicated that. But then another one that this one's, a little bit personal, vulnerable, but at the same time, kind of funny, is Andrea shared with me, pretty directly, but in a loving way, hey, when you pass gas, it really, I really don't like it.
It's not sexy to me.
Yeah.
And I was, and I'm glad she communicated it, because I was just like, it's not like I was making a big deal out of it, but it was just like, it would happen. And I'd be like, oh, sorry about that. But then when she said that, now I'm making an effort to either, hold it in, or I will go somewhere else to take care of that.
And we started Ryan on a pre and probiotic, which is brand new technology, where the probiotic is really thick. So when you swallow the pill, it doesn't get messed up by the stomach acid. It stays strong.
Disintegrate. Yeah.
And it travels all the way to where it needs to be in the intestine. And then it has the capsule opens extended release. So the bacteria gets where they need to be. And then the prebiotic is the fiber that the bacteria eats. So you put the good bacteria in there and then you feed it. So it's kind of like a 2-in-1 system from Juice Plus. So we've been taking it now for a month, and it's really made it so Ryan's gas doesn't smell. It's incredible. It's been life-changing.
I am blown away. I'm just not even familiar with, I didn't even know this was possible to pass gas and not have it smell horribly. But when you start focusing on your health, and in this case, gut health, wow, this stuff actually works.
Yeah. So any of you out there, if your partner's gas is turning you off, or if your own gas is turning off your partner, check out mayor.juiceplus.com and try the super biome, because it is changing lives over here.
Well, and what I love about this is you're bringing up something really important, is that when there are odors of all sorts, often that the first thing to check is there an infection that you don't know about? Is there something going on? And, I love this example because it's a great example of that. It's by talking about it, now we address this thing that may be going on that you can then address, and you're in better health and your spouse is happy. But it all started with that conversation.
Yes, exactly. And I am positive that kind of conversation it might usually not happen in a lot of relationships if the two partners are not comfortable enough with each other. Because I was never in that example, I'm never doing that to upset Andrea. It was just a bodily function. But I'm glad she expressed that, because now I don't want to upset her, and I definitely don't want to turn her off either. So I was happy to take the steps needed.
It's not the goals. Yeah. Very cool. There are so many ways in which overall taking care of your health, taking care of your body, that self-care and the ADHD care really intertwines with sex, pleasure, relationships, all of these things. And, the more we talk about it, the more it's well, of course, this seems really obvious.
Right.
Which is great, right? It's nice because I'm wait, we're going to talk about this for a little while, and then people are going to know the stuff and we can move on.
But here's something I say, Dr. Lynn, which is some of this stuff might feel like common sense, but it's not common practice.
Correct.
So it's that's a lot of times, I was having a friendly, healthy debate with a client this morning where he was, we're kind of laughing about it because it's like, so wait a minute, I'm paying you, but I'm the one doing all the work. And I said, yes. I said, I can't do the work for you. I can, but I am here to help, essentially hold up the mirror for you and ask you questions that maybe you haven't thought to ask yourself, like we mentioned earlier. So yeah, that's what it's about.
Yeah, very cool. I actually can't see the comments, so I don't know if there's people that have questions.
Oh,
or
okay.
anything.
Yeah, let me look.
If not, I'd be happy to.
No, it's okay. And we're thankfully we've speaking of getting to the top of the mountain, we've finally overcome the Mount Laundry here. All right, let's see if there's any
questions.
Any questions. And by the way, if anyone is just joining us, just want to say thanks for being here. Oh, Dr. Carolyn Lensch Parcells is in the house. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Doc.
And then we have some other folks that are here. Glad to be here. You can all. Okay, I don't know what that one. They were talking about. It says, "Cannonball that pile, bro." Like, or you can drop a people's elbow on it. I love that too. That's hilarious. Let's see. I'm just looking to see if there were questions. Thank you. I like that name too. Broke to Boss. That's a great name. Happy Laundry Tuesday. Cool. These are all great stuff. Hey, what's up, Julie? Thanks for being here, everyone. We're here with Dr. Lynn Pichet. She is talking about ADHD and sex, and we're coming up on the 1-year birthday of her workbook. So we're celebrating and sex and relationships. These are all things to be celebrated. And let me just look through the comments. I haven't seen anything, but that's okay. Ooh, I just made a really good sound. That it sounded like it.
Does it sound good, eh?
Well, no, yours doesn't, but my sound kind of sounded like it.
We'd have to coordinate.
Yeah. Let's see. Heart-centered psychotherapy. Love that. Candy canes. Keep going. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Amelia was here too, and she said, "Hey, everyone, what are you working on?" I'm currently trying to find my mail key. Classic ADHD. Daniel Grant King was here. Yeah, okay. So it doesn't look like any questions, Dr. Lynn, but I was thinking too that it would be great to have, you mentioned earlier being on a podcast. We could talk about that too, because I do think that this is something that more people need to know about. And especially with the birthday of the book, we got to get that out there for more people.
Yeah, I think it's really great that we're talking about it, and it's like everything else. The more we talk about it, the better it gets.
Yes.
I get to be all celebratory all month, which I'm really excited about because, I drag birthdays on. So birthdays are a day, but then I make it the whole month.
Yeah, why not? Love
you're
that.
You're going to have fun with it.
That's hilarious.
And really kind of getting to know this idea of how can you make it work for you, right? So whatever is happening in your sex life and your ADHD, how can you make those things work better for you? Or maybe it's working great and you actually don't need to tweak a thing. You found the way to the novelty. You found the way to the intensity. Fabulous. Just like being here and finding your way through your laundry. I'm always so impressed, Ryan. I would never take care of my laundry in that way. I'm a big proponent of the piles on the floor.
Yeah, love it. Well, just
you, Dr. Lynn.
Yeah, and just as we were saying throughout the whole conversation, you have to do it in the way that makes the most sense.
Absolutely.
And I know that, this is me working with my partner because Andrea likes it organized, and this makes it easier for her. Like when she's taking it, I helped get it upstairs, and then she puts it away. Like we just team up, and that's how we have to approach it. Hey, before we let you go, I want to make sure to ask the question: if people want to learn more about what you're doing, if they want to connect with you, if they want to learn about the course and the workbook, where should they go?
ADHDsex.com. It's the kind of quickest way to get there, and it's kind of pretty straightforward. Everything's up on the website. So ADHDsex.com will do it. And the Instagram is ADHD Sex Workbook. I'm told it's a terrible Instagram name, so I apologize to all of you Instagrammers that are like, why did she pick that name? I picked it because I'm old, people.
Hey, help. That's hilarious.
But those are the two best ways to reach me, ADHD Sex Workbook and ADHDsex.com. And I'm so happy to be celebrating with everybody this week. If you want to check out the online class and get that discount in, we've got it up for the whole week. And really looking forward to talking more about ADHD and sex at the CHAD conference and continuing our conversation, trying, Andrea, about how to make this fun and accessible to people.
That's awesome.
Beautiful, Dr. Lynn. Thank you for all of your work and what you're doing for the ADHD community. You shine. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm just having a great time. So I'm thrilled to be here. And if anybody has any questions, please reach out. Happy to answer them.
And I think in the words of, I thought I was going to quote from Andrea, but I think it's actually my friend and fellow ADHD coach, Alex High, who says, if you want to get it done, then you got to make it fun.
Yes.
So that's a great one that I'll leave everyone with. But Dr. Lynn, always such a pleasure to see you and chat with you, and I'll look forward to seeing you at the conference.
That sounds wonderful. Me too. Take care, everybody. Thanks for having me on.
You are welcome. See everyone, and
Bye.
make sure that you like, subscribe on YouTube as well. Dr. Lynn, if you haven't already, you can help me reach my goal of 10,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of the year. And let us know how we can help you. Just know you're not alone. Not anymore. Okay, cool. Talk to everyone later. Love you. Bye.
Bye.
What was the topic?